Certainly. Mr. Batchnick,
Here.
Mr. Bryce,
Here.
Mr. Cantor,
Here.
Miss Wells,
Here.
Mr. Rowena,
Here.
Miss Langalis,
Here.
Ms. Jordan Byron,
Present.
and Mr. Schulman.
Here. Let me announce that the Costco Wholesale Corporation has pulled their item for this evening. It will be on our first, I believe, February meeting. But we will not be discussing it this evening. So we'll go right into review and action on applications. We'll seat Ms. Tabachnik. Actually the other alternate isn't even here this evening. Okay, first item, 2022-55 SP, that's a special permit. CAM TR Sono Partners, 3135 South Main Street, District 2, Block 45, Lot 12. Request for 1-year extension of time for the construction of an 8-story addition to existing Marriott Sono Residence Inn Hotel to add 48 rooms and 45 off-street parking spaces. And who is representing TR Sono Partners?
I am, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, then I will turn it over to Attorney Suchi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Very quickly, in February of 2023, you approved the underlying special permit and CAM applications for an addition to the existing Sono Marriott Hotel with an addition 8 stories with 108 rooms. We're asking for a 1-year extension of time, and that's largely due to the volatility in the interest market in 2023, increases in volatility in the construction industry, both of which we anticipate will level off and become a little more stable in the upcoming year. We were also delayed a little bit in moving forward in that the State Historic Preservation Office weighed in on the demolition of the structure where this project was going to be constructed. And then also we had redevelopment third-party review, which extended into late April. So we're just asking for a 1-year extension of time. We fully anticipate we'll move forward in the upcoming year. So I'd ask that you be kind enough to grant the extension.
Attorney Suchi, is my recollection correct that this is the first request for an extension of time?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, it is.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve 1 year?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Tammy Langalis has made the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. Mr. Rowena has seconded. Any discussion? All right. If not, we'll go right to a vote. We'll do it with a show of hands. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission.
Okay, thank you. I should note that Darius Williams has joined the meeting, so we have another commissioner with us. The second item is 2024-01 CAM. Conti and Conti LLC, 23 Channel Avenue, District 5, Block 85C, Lot 65. Raise and modify an existing single-family residence to be flood compliant. And please.
I'm John Conti on behalf of the owners. We also have Bill Earls here. He's the architect for the project. And I believe Robert and Beth Downs, the owners, are in attendance here too. I can give you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, a brief sort of overview and background on this project, if that's helpful.
I think it would be. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen here for a moment. So this is Google Maps aerial image of just to orient you. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
This is Channel Avenue here. This is Oliver Street. And under this tree canopy here is the site in question. I'll do a quick street view because I think that's helpful. So this is the existing house. There's a gravel driveway in the front here, significant, I think this is an oak tree. And then there's just manicured lawn area, and there's a deck in the rear and existing dock, which no changes proposed to that dock. So the proposal, as was outlined in the staff comments, is to raise the existing structure, the existing house, to be compliant with FEMA flood elevations. I should mention, actually, let me open the survey, that this lot is fully in the AE 13 flood zone. So there's like a tiny little section here that's wave action, but all of the proposed development in the house is in the AE zone, the flood zone. So this is the location of the existing house. It's essentially just to be raised in the same location to the lowest horizontal structural member is going to be 1 foot above the base flood elevation, which is the standard. And sort of the general footprint of the house is to remain the same. There's also a proposal to rebuild the deck in the back to make that FEMA flood compliant. This deck, staff had requested that this is not structurally attached to the building, and that's what we're proposing here, so that this also meets FEMA flood regulations. And there's a staircase in the front, new staircase in the front to access the raised building. Additionally, this existing parking area in the front is to be removed. This is currently not compliant with zoning regulations, and a new porous pavement driveway is proposed to be added here to access a garage on this side of the building. The porous pavement driveway was proposed in order to meet stormwater regulations, decrease stormwater flows off of the site to the harbor and to the street. Both peak flows and volumes are reduced with the implementation of this best management practice. We have received some deep comments. They were obviously in favor of raising the building. They're also happy to see implementation of porous pavement. We have positive comments from DPW. I think those came after Amelia Williams' staff memo. DPW asked for some small clarification, but they generally are in favor of the project. Health Department also has is in approve the project. I think we're still waiting to hear from WPCA. They have not issued any comments yet. I can show I think possibly this might be a useful depiction, the front elevation of the building. So you can see that essentially this part of the superstructure is proposed to be raised, and a new piers on footings are proposed to hold up the new elevation of the structure. And then this garage underneath is proposed as well. I think that's all the high points I wanted to hit on. I don't know if there's any questions from any members of the commission.
I believe the staff asked if you would reconsider the use of concrete and consider was it stone?
For the patio.
Yes, for the patio.
Yes, so I think staff was referring to this patio in the back. So currently this is a wooden deck, and it's again not compliant with FEMA flood regulations. So this portion of the deck is to be rebuilt and raised, and this one is proposed to be flush. I mean, if that was crushed stone, that sort of changes the use of that patio significantly. I mean, like a bluestone flush sort of smooth masonry is a lot different than crushed stone. We are proposing crushed stone underneath the deck as sort of like just a stabilization measure. And, you know, we just want to reiterate, we're using porous pavement here, and the proposed condition is actually a reduction of impervious coverage. even if you consider the porous pavement like a hard surface. So, we think that we're sort of moving this project in the right direction. I don't think changing this to crushed stone is something we had considered.
I think the intent was to be crushed, the bluestone on top of the crushed stone versus bluestone on top of concrete.
Okay. I see. Is there, what's the reason staff is asking for that?
Well, I think it's a reduction in impervious surface if you go that route. I think the other staff recommendation along that line was to consider pulling the masonry patio back to the rear a little bit and then putting a buffer planting strip along the wall, which would help with filtration and water quality.
Well, regarding putting crushed stone underneath the bluestone, I don't see how that significantly changes the how the effect that has on stormwater, I suppose. I mean, are they asking for it to be like open jointed? I don't understand. I mean, if we have big pieces of bluestone, that's sort of impervious still. I mean, I suppose if yeah, I don't fully understand that comment, but I guess we're not sure what to say here. We'll consider an alternate. I suppose we will consider an alternate construction method.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Conti, a couple of questions, and the first one is maybe about the patio. Is the patio the walking on point to the dock? Are they at the same grade? Is that why you sort of want that there? Thank you. I'm sorry if you didn't hear me. I didn't have the microphone in front of me.
No, I heard your question. Yeah. So you're asking, no, I believe, and maybe Robert or Bill can shed light on this. I believe the patio, there's a parapet. I believe that this seawall sticks up above the elevation of this patio. Bill, can you shed any light on that?
Just
Yes, the parapet wall is a little higher than the grade right now.
so
Is
it's a separate entrance to the dock, to the ramp. I visited, I'm in real estate, and I visited the property when it was on the market a few years ago. And I must say the whole back deck and dock area was very attractive. So I kind of feel for the applicant that they're having to disconnect. I think you could walk right down from the
Yes,
existing deck to the dock. So I'm trying to see why, if you have to take the old deck off, what's the access point to the dock?
that patio would be flush with the top, right? You even see some, are those existing risers, John, at the left of the patio, or are those proposed? No.
So this is proposed risers to get from the patio to the deck.
Yeah, but from the patio.
These here? No, those were existing to be removed. So that's that light gray color. Sorry if that's confusing.
So is our patio flush with grade? No, it's still a two risers up, right? I'm not clear myself where we're proposing at this point now where to put that.
I had sort of assumed that you'd step up. I don't know where this landing ends up, but I had assumed you'd sort of step up onto the wall and then proceed to access this portion of the dock, which is all on this side of the seawall. There's no changes proposed, so this sort of access ways remains the same.
It might be odd to kind of step up and over that seawall, certainly. Be a little strange.
I've seen in other newer constructions, but maybe in the last 5 or 10 years, where people have raised the patio because it's considered a yard type item as opposed to a structural thing like a deck, where it's 3 or 4 feet off the ground. And I think we're not allowing that anymore, Steve or Brian. People were building patios off the back of a house and going right to the edge of the property because the patio didn't have to meet setback rules. So I'm just thinking, could it be reduced in size if what they're looking for is sort of a dry way to get to the dock. And then maybe then it could be cement or concrete like they want it. It's sort of a compromise, but I can't quite figure out why they, where it is.
I mean,
how
that
they're
wall's,
accessing the dock.
that wall's like 18 inches high or so probably, right? The wall's not very high, the little parapet wall. It's not like a 3-foot high sitting wall. Do we have any photos of that, John?
What about a Google aerial
I
from the
might,
other
I might
direction?
have photographs. Let me see if I can pull something up quickly here.
Steve, is Amelia with us?
No.
Okay.
Would the elevation show that on the rear elevation?
No, that the rear elevation is just going to show the building. I think I have a photograph. Just bear with me one.
If you go to Zillow.com and look up the address, you could probably see the old MLS photos that show it exactly.
Here, this shows it like a little bit. This photograph I have. So this is the existing rear deck structure. This is the wall we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's the wall.
So that's sort of what I meant is like you just kind of step up onto this from the patio, which would be at this elevation, the existing grade. That's what I had
On the
envisioned,
ground.
Bill. Yeah, right. I think that's what I had envisioned, Bill, that your intent was. I mean, if there needs to be like one bluestone riser, that doesn't really materially change our application, I don't think.
Okay, and then a couple of other questions. If the owners are on the call, I'm curious if they got water in their house this past Saturday. Did it come up to the foundation? Where did it come?
Hey, yeah, this is Robert Downs, the owner. We did not have inundation in the home. It was, primarily in the road. A little bit came over the retaining wall, but it was a good, probably foot from, I guess, the lowest level of the house. Nothing in the house.
Okay, that I'm sure gave you a great relief.
Yes.
And then, do you know can you tell us what the current elevation of the house is? And I think you said what the flood elevation is AE 13. Do you know what the house is now? Like
The house, the finished floor elevation of the house, the first floor is 8.4 right now. But there's also a basement, which is lower. I don't know what that elevation is, but there's a small basement under here, which would be going away.
Right.
But yes, 8.4 is the house, 13 is the 100-year flood elevation, and the first floor is going up to 16.4 under this proposed condition.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Are there other questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
We talked briefly about the plantings along the seawall. One of staff's comments there about having a landscaping plan and having some plantings along the seawall in order to add some additional filtration. Is that something y'all have considered?
Yes, I did have a conversation with both Amelia Williams and Mr. Downs earlier today. I think it's interesting. This yard sort of pitches south. So in terms of filtration, and there's a parapet on here. So we were thinking that potentially plantings along the southern property line might actually make more sense. This is sort of high. It sort of goes diagonal this way in terms of any filtration benefit that might have. We were considering plantings in this area here.
Okay, thank you. As a maybe a semi-related follow-up, the porous driveway, we've heard previously from other applicants saying that porous pavement was not something that's suitable for their site. I'm just maybe out of curiosity here, what made this site ideal for the porous pavement?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Miss Williams about this previously too. I mean, I think it's an effective BMP because you sort of have to have pavement anyway, and you have to have a sub base below that pavement, and it sort of just incorporates it all together. What specifically about this site? I mean, just the fact that it's so close to the elevation of water that having a narrow profile to fit your best management practice is really advantageous. And if you do something like concrete galleries, you need a lot more depth before your mean high water level, to
Gotcha.
keep your infiltration away. So the narrow profile lends itself in this instance,
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
certainly.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, one other question. And sorry, I can't see the applicant's name, so apologize for just saying the applicant. I see that the driveway is now going to be on the left-hand side of the property, and that nice tree is in the front, and all of the front before, you didn't have a garage, and so it was just crushed stone. So what is that area where that nice big tree is in front of the house going to become?
Yeah, that's a good question. So essentially, this parking area or gravel drive that is not compliant right now, we envision turning to sort of like a lawn area, basically sort of flip flop with this is lawn now, so lawn will go here, and driveway here. And it is proposed to leave this tree, by the way, which is going to be, the applicant is going to have to make some concessions in terms of what they could do. And I think it's a great thing. This is a big tree, big canopy right near the water. So we're going to do our best to keep this tree here. But this goes to lawn area. I think that was your question.
Right, and it's by our codes, Steve and Brian, that they had to put a garage underneath the house. And so that's why they had to do the driveway?
Well, no, so they're required to provide the 2 parking spaces. Generally, if you're in the flood zone, the first floor that you have to lift to be flood compliant, there's really nothing you can do with that space anyway, so it makes sense for it to be the parking space.
Okay, so we were not actually asking for the applicant to put parking underneath the house, but it's just convenient, and therefore it's just kind of flipping and flopping.
Right.
The space.
I might have an elevation that shows that, if that's interesting. This is
I think in our new regulations, the garage has to be behind, right? And in this case, you can't do that. I mean, it's not a garage, truly, it's not a garage, but
Yeah, like this configuration would work under the new regs too.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Thank you, Mr. Conti.
certainly.
Okay. Are there any other questions? All right, we have a resolution on this?
Yeah. John, if you just stop sharing for a second. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you, Brian. First question, for the staff. Because Mr. Conti said they're going to do what they can to save the tree. Do they have any obligation if they can't save the tree?
Not if it's in the, spelled out not unless it's spelled out in the conditions.
Yeah, which I believe we did, so yeah, so you have one, the site plan submitted by Mr. Conti, which shows that the tree is to remain. And then you also have these conditions regarding the landscaping. So all plantings must be maintained in accordance with the approved landscape plan. So should that tree come down, technically that would be a modification to their landscaping plan.
Okay.
Excuse me, I have one quick question. Does,
Sure.
Paragraphs 8 and 9, does that address the issue that was raised by Deep concerning the, what do they call it, the flow vents or something that are in the breakaway walls?
Yeah, at the permit process, they'll review all the flood measures proposed to make sure they're compliant.
Thank you.
Okay, and the issue of the concrete foundation rather than a more pervious foundation?
It would seem to me that if it's underneath bluestone, what difference does it make to the applicant? I mean, so I think they should go along with the crushed stone. I'm not wedded to either.
I think the issue more comes from concrete itself is not a very sustainable material. So if you're able to use some sort of other material that's more sustainable as the base, then it's probably more appropriate in this situation.
And typically though, I mean, I have a pretty big bluestone patio and the joints do allow for more filtration than without the concrete.
We
underneath.
just redid ours and they recommended crushed stone over concrete, actually, not for environmental reasons, but for the patio.
Right. Can you give us some language we can take a look at?
See if she likes.
I think the bottom line here is they're raising the house. And that's a big deal. That's certainly something we want to see.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Condition 10, Brian's typing right below that does speak to the tree specifically as well.
I see that. Okay.
So that's kind of more specific than the other points.
Yes, Mr. Conti, another question.
Yes.
Mr. Conti, would you be willing to share an approximate price range of what this lift is going to cost? Because the commission spent a considerable amount of time in the zoning rewrite discussing such things, and none of us are experts in this. I'm curious if you could share the cost of the lift and all the things associated with it.
But just, just the lift.
What would
itself.
Okay.
would this be, this really isn't a lift though, because it's new construction. So
No.
No,
it's a-
no.
It is a lift,
Pure
yeah.
lift.
Yeah.
Pure lift?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, all
the
right.
house is
I'm
staying.
sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't actually know that right now. I mean, I'd have to speak to the owner and see if they were comfortable sharing that information.
Okay. We're
Well,
not,
if-
I'm not trying to hold you to anything. It's
If-
just to give us a ballpark.
If the owner is willing, would you let the staff know? We're trying to gather just a little bit of data.
Sure,
We have some numbers. We don't know how reliable they are.
sure. I mean, yeah, we can confer with the owner and see if they're willing to share that information. I mean, I'm
Okay.
sure, I mean, there's so many, there must be a lot of data on this. There's so many houses that are lifted, in this town near the water.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't
So
all.
yours is the first one following the major rewrite, so.
Right.
Okay, I see.
Okay, so the language reads that crushed stone be used as a base foundation material for the rear patio nearest the dock.
For item 12 on the next one,
Yeah.
do we want to add something in there about how it's maybe along the seawall and or the southern property line? Since they were talking about how it slopes to the south, they may want to do buffer plantings there for runoff. I don't know if staff has an opinion on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Is that can I ask, is that an and/or, hopefully?
I'd be okay with that being an and/or. I'm not sure how others feel.
I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, and I wonder what the benefit of landscaping against the seawall would be in terms of siltation, but I guess it's not very big.
Okay, are there any other comments on the resolution? If not, is there a motion to approve? Tammy has made the motion and Darius is seconded. Let's do a roll call.
Sure. Ms. Tabachnik,
Yes.
Mr. Bryce,
Yes.
Mr. Cantor,
Yes.
Ms. Wells,
Yes.
Mr. Rowena,
Yes.
Ms. Langallis,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Jordan Byron,
Yes.
and Mr. Schulman.
Yes,
Unanimous.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Conti.
Thank you all for your consideration and approval. Greatly appreciated.
Okay, well, that completes the major portion of the agenda. The next part are approval of the minutes going all the way back to November 8th. Steve, did the staff have an opportunity to determine which of the members were at which meeting?
Did a quick check. I didn't see any red flags that popped out. So if anybody notices something where they weren't
I
there,
did notice something on the December 8th meeting. It said that I signed on at 7:17. I'm pretty sure I signed on much earlier. It said I signed off at 7:48, but then my internet was kind of shaky. So I just wanted, I was there at the meeting for most of it.
That was November or?
That was
December
December. That's
8th.
when I was out of town. And I signed in from vacation.
All right. We'll just change language to reflect that you had some internet,
Right.
brief internet
Right,
issues.
Technical difficulties.
Right.
do you recall like what, as opposed to 7:17?
I know that I arrived, like around six, like just before 6:30, and it took me, I had to go sign on and everything. I think I signed on like about 6:40, something,
Okay.
6:45.
Yeah, and we can go back and,
I remember you sent me a text and I replied back.
okay, yeah, we'll double check the
Yeah,
video.
I was
just to
on
make
for a
sure.
while, then I got kicked off and then I had to get back on.
All right, well, let's take these one at a time. Is there a motion to approve the November 8th minutes?
I'll move.
Okay, Richard has moved. Is there a second
I did have one proposed amendment.
to November 8th?
Yes,
Okay,
but you just said my name is mentioned twice. Or a few of our names, yeah.
and there weren't two of you there?
It's my twin. I have yet to meet him, but.
He's better looking. All right, with that change, are you willing to second the motion to approve?
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone here who was not in attendance at that meeting? Doesn't appear there was, then with a show of hands, all those in favor, November 8th? Okay, Nick? Okay, it's unanimous. Sorry, let's move on to November 15th. Is there a motion to approve? Tammy moves, Richard seconds. Any corrections? All right, if not, all those in favor, again, show of hands. Okay, also unanimous. November 21st.
This one I wasn't at.
Okay, good. Then you'll just abstain.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Tammy has made the motion to approve. Darius has seconded. All those in favor, raise a show of hands. Okay, and we have, Richard is abstaining, but, otherwise it's unanimous. December 5th. Motion to approve. Richard, made the motion, Darius, no, Ms. Jordan Byron seconded.
Oh, I
Was everyone at the, meeting? Okay, all those in favor, show of hands. It's unanimous. Okay, moving December 6th.
Yeah, these were your two public hearings.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. You're quite right. Motion to approve the minutes, December 6th. Tammy has made the motion. Darius has seconded. All those in favor, show of hands. Looks unanimous again. And finally, Oh, no, not finally. I'm sorry. December 13th. A motion to approve the minutes. Tammy moves. Darius seconds. Were we all in attendance? No, Anna was not, because I couldn't see her. Okay, all those in favor, again, show of hands. Okay, Anna, of course, was not at the meeting, therefore, did not raise her hand. And finally, January 3rd, motion to approve. Richard has moved, Darius has seconded. Was everyone in attendance at that meeting? It appears everyone was. Okay, all those in favor? Show of hands. Okay, also unanimous.
Can I
Yes?
make just a related request? I agreed with all of these minutes, and it's very impressive how they are taken and summarized so clearly and succinctly. I would just add that if it's possible, when we have discussions, if there is sort of a response or a next step or a plan to include that. I didn't read through all of them, but I saw in one it said under comments of commissioners, there was a discussion about the residential parking passes in East Norwalk, but it didn't say like either what the discussion was, or Steve said that we will bring in somebody in a meeting in the future, or whatever it was, just a little more detail on what the next step is of things that we bring up, if it's possible.
I think the problem, Anna, is that the minutes are actually just a summary. Because
Yeah.
we have the recordings which have all of that detail.
Yeah, so for example, it says there was a discussion about the Manresa property, and Mr. Kleppen said that he would be sending information about it. I think that's succinct, and it tells us just a little bit more about the next step on that item. If it's possible to look for that when possible on broader issues, I'd appreciate it.
Diana, you understand what Anna is saying?
Yes, I do. I heard you, Anna. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and I love your work.
Oh, thank you so much. Been doing it for a long time.
Okay. We'll move on to comments of the director.
Yeah, and as the chairman had mentioned at the beginning, Friday's forecast is for snow. I don't know how much, who knows?
A couple of inches anyway.
Yeah, so this past yesterday, City Hall had a delayed opening, so if they did something similar, that obviously affects the schedule and also impacts if you wanted to be in person, you're comfortable driving, so I wanted to get your thoughts on, we don't have to decide tonight, but it'd probably be better to decide tomorrow what you wanted to do if it looks like you don't want to drive, which I don't blame anybody for not wanting to drive, and if they did a delayed opening, which we might not know until an hour before we're supposed to be here, so it's hard for us to get that information out to everybody ahead of time. How you wanted to do it.
Well, it's also going to be very difficult for the department heads.
Yeah, if we're missing people, then we have to reschedule and we're getting time crunch too.
Who does the mayor determine? I mean, the Board of Ed determines whether there's no school. Does City Hall then follow suit with what the Board of Ed decides? No. Okay, so who makes the decision?
Mayor's office ultimately.
Okay, and then would he let you know immediately?
We know, yeah, we hopefully get as much advance warning as possible. I mean, the other option is if we are closed or delayed, you could always just do it virtually.
Right, and do you both attend with us?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were going to split it up.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it is set up to be a hybrid, so.
Right. Well, maybe tomorrow night. Should I be answering this or should you, Lou?
No,
Since I'm
it's-
sharing.
You're sharing
Okay.
it, yeah.
Maybe tomorrow by Thursday by 4:30, 5 o'clock, we could make a decision whether to make it all Zoom. And that way, nobody would have to go anywhere. And I think, Steve, you probably come from the furthest distance. But you guys are just really sitting there. You're not really, I mean, and so are we, quite frankly. We're just listening and we might ask a few questions. I'd rather not move the date because it's very hard to get people that have jobs that aren't department heads with the city
Right.
department to give up an entire day.
And then we're running into the time crunch with reporting back to the mayor.
Right.
Right.
So let's then make an educated decision tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, and the city does they have their own weather service that they consult with that gives detail for Norwalk area and what to expect and when, so we could base it off that.
If we decide, that it's going to be a Zoom meeting, it seems to me we probably ought to have the staff talk to, some of the department heads.
We'll let them know.
Especially the major departments. It might make sense, yeah, to talk with them tomorrow and explain what we may have to do.
Yeah, we'll
And
tell.
see if they're on board with that. I mean, it may be, for example, that the DPW or the fire department or the police department can't commit in the event of a snow event.
Yeah, it's true.
So,
We'll check in with them tomorrow morning, first thing.
okay.
Okay.
And
The other people that are on it,
yeah,
It makes sense.
If anyone wants a budget binder, I brought up extras.
I got mine.
Yeah, I
It
got
was
mine also.
remarkably thinner than last year. At first, I thought they were missing a whole bunch of departments, but it really wasn't. They printed on both sides of the
right.
paper too.
I'm only halfway through and I've only got one more
I don't know, I had a
day.
really boring night, like over the weekend, and I looked through the whole thing.
Okay. And Steve, do you want to talk about the change in the February schedule?
Yeah, that was my next on my list. So we had talked about your normal meeting dates. The approved meeting dates are February 7 and February 21st, obviously both Wednesdays. We had mentioned last meeting that we needed to make a immediate tweak to the new regs that we wanted to get it in before the February 19th date. So that precipitated potentially moving either the meeting on the 21st or the meeting on the 7th. Our recommendation is to move the meeting from the 7th to the 14th. So you wouldn't have a meeting on the 7th, you would meet on the 14th and 21st. I just want to check with you guys.
Right.
Just thinking, you're giving your night.
No one ever.
You're giving
said
yourself a
Valentine's
night
Day,
away from me.
Right?
You're going somewhere, aren't you?
That's a gift that
Nick?
keeps on giving.
I have.
Send my evil twins.
There you go.
What time?
We probably
Yeah.
keep everything the same. That's all right.
And it's going to be a long meeting.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing with Costco giving you a shorter night tonight, it means a longer night down the road.
Right.
Why don't we Costco on the 21st rather than the 14th.
Well, there's other stuff on the 21st as well. We have North 7, we have
Oh.
stuff too.
What do we need to hear about that application for 7 times?
We still don't have agreement on the design.
Yeah. Well, I have a 6 taxing district meeting and we can try this. I can get my other commissioners and the public to try to start that meeting earlier. So, but I might be late. I can't promise. What else is on the agenda and what's the most important thing that I need to vote on?
So with Costco is getting pushed to that, the regulation amendment, and there was in the capital budget public hearing, which we're going to do our best when we talk to the department heads to, especially Board of Ed and Recs and Parks, to tell them they don't need to have 50 people come talk to you because you don't have that kind of input on the capital process.
So is it going to be down in the big in the big room on the first floor?
Our plan is to do it virtually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that lets me get there a little faster.
Right.
Yeah. And the only thing that's out of our hands is if somebody requested in person or hybrid. But you still don't be there in person.
Okay. It's too bad we couldn't have heard that tonight.
Yes.
I mean, some of those December meetings, before holidays.
Yeah, it's tough because we get the budget books and then you guys have to go through meet with the different departments to get their feedback and their overview. And then we have to do the hearing after that. I mean, I guess you could do it the other way, but I don't know if it's as beneficial for you to do it that way.
And nobody's ready on the 7th.
The amendment is the tricky part. We had to,
Right.
there's a 35-day notice with the amendment, so we missed it by 2 days.
Right.
unfortunately.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we would have
Well,
still.
that's the thing that I would definitely want to vote on. So if you can put that on the agenda for, like, not the first thing.
Yeah, we would probably do that anyway, because then let the applicants leave once they're done.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's it.
One more item, just a bit of annoying news. We did get one appeal on the regulation rewrite. It doesn't really alter anything, doesn't change the effective date, doesn't change anything. I'm happy to forward you the actual complaint. I don't think there's much merit to it. We talked to Mark Brands, who's the outside attorney. He's pretty competent in the whole process. We're gonna try to get it actually dismissed ahead of time.
Can you share with?
I'll send you an email.
Okay.
Easier. Any questions, happy to chat about it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay, I'm gonna ask for a motion to adjourn, but after we adjourn, I just have a comment. Doesn't need to be on the record. So is there a motion to adjourn? I've got, Richard, and, Tammy.
All right.
Yeah,
Richard.
Darius, you're off the hook. All right, all those in favor?